Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for some Saturday night coverage of the Next Gen Cup cars. As tonight, the drivers get ready for another tough test to see who can handle and try to stretch out and make the right momentum to make the push for the playoffs. Counting tonight, we got 4 more races left, and we got plenty of spots still to be grabbed throughout this season, as it's season 5, race number 8. As tonight's race is the Heroes Pub 200 here at Bristol. Big thanks to that at Roasted Gems Coffee for being the headline sponsor here at WSSR Cup Series. Roasted Gems Coffee is the official title sponsor of WSSR, and if you'd like to get yourself some premium quality, some of the best coffee out there, go head over to roastedgems.com and use our promo code WSSR for 5% off to start off your day right. As tonight, it's the Heroes Pubs 200. Heroes Pubs, really happy to have them as a sponsor for these drivers here tonight, as it's the 200 for 200 laps, and it certainly could be a long one. It could be a quick one if we stay green. We're proud to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart. Trevor, this is going to be a fun one for these drivers to cover here tonight.
Oh, it's going to be exciting. The world's fastest half mile here at Bristol Motor Speedway. High banks, high speeds. Two distinct lines, the top and the bottom, and it's short track racing where I think we're going to have some bumping, some tempers flaring, and I'm looking forward to it.
Another person we got to be thanking here tonight is that of Robert Moyer Jr., who's going to be running productions this evening, getting you all the camera and graphics that we get to see on screen. As practice comes to a conclusion, it's time to get ourselves ready for qualifying. And Trevor, top of the board, some drivers we really haven't seen up there. Going to be Jeremy Little, top of the board for practice. Same for that of Brandon Colley, who's had a lot of speed, but third fastest from practice. It's a driver that a lot have been circulating around, the favorite here tonight of Vincent Sora.
Yeah, Vincent Sora, definitely the favorite coming into this race. Hasn't finished outside essentially the top 3, except for one race at Daytona where he got caught up in a wreck coming to the checkered flag. But Sam, I'm with you. I think the 15 car is going to be the guy to watch out for here tonight.
As drivers get themselves ready for qualifying. Qualifying is going to be 5 minutes, 2 laps for each driver to get out there on track. And it's solo qualifying, meaning you can go out at any time you want, and there will be no one else on track. 5 minutes in total. But Trevor, qualifying for these drivers, going to be over 20 drivers in total, going to be expected to be on track as we get our first looks here for Thompson checking the 8.
Qualifying is going to be so important here. You know, we talk about it pretty much every week with these cars, but track position, especially at Bristol, is going to be really important for these guys, as it is tough to pass here as Tom comes around to complete his first time lap.
As he comes across the line, already other drivers have put on a time. That's going to be Ryan Bird, first top of the board for a quick second, because that 8 says that's mine with a 14.696. It's a quick first lap. Second lap for that of the 8 machine, as we move over to that of Jamie Dunning, who at the 54 are going to be coming across the line to start out their time here, but already drivers shuffling around. Kyle Rochelle's going to be bumping up to 4th place. Cedric Hunter's in 3rd. Brandon Colley, hope for the best with a driver of note. Vincent Sora, top of the board with a 14.651, as we continue to keep our eyes on that left tower to see who is going to top the board next.
Yeah, Vincent Sora there with a great first lap. Goes even faster on the second lap, now a 14.6 flat for Vincent Sora in the 15 machine. And Justin Lewis now up to 4th, and Jamie Lee Dunning completes his second lap, puts himself in 13th position for the 54 machine.
As we've got ourselves 3 minutes left, a lot of drivers going out there on track quickly. Another couple of drivers of note that still need to put some times down. Going to be that of Aaron Kralik, who's hoping to put down some fast laps, but Brian Johnson up to 3rd for that 28. That's going to be another driver for us to keep our eyes on, as still waiting to hit that track. Chuck Sweeting in the 75, curious if he's going to hit the track, as here's Aaron Kralik in the 01 to start out his qualifying times.
Look at Aaron here taking the high line, trying to build that momentum off the corner there in the 01 machine. She heads down the backstretch here into 3 and 4. See what kind of lap time the 01 can put down here as he comes across the line.
Comes across the line for his first lap for the 01. You want to be that of 20th fastest, but mainly looking like he's trying to save for this run down into turn number 3, but a little bit slow. The 01 machine, as we look back to the 25 of Kaufman, who's looking to be 21st on the board, last of all those that have put down a time, as everyone else kind of just puttering along. Here's going to be potentially one of our last drivers to qualify, the 91, Mark Morales. Still two other drivers in pit road waiting to get out on track. It's the 5, Dakota Moniz and Chuck Sweeting, as Morales gets ready to ramp it up and trying to qualify inside of our top 15.
Let's see what the 91 can do here. And for Chuck Sweeting, interesting call on his part. 4 races to go before the playoffs, and Sweeting only 7 points back from the cutoff line, so kind of putting himself in the danger zone if he doesn't go out there and put a lap down.
Sweeting, one of the drivers that we know can run well. I mean, he was up front a couple of the races this season, but he certainly has been struggling. If he does not qualify well, he usually is stuck in the back half of the field. As Mark Morales bouncing off the wall, and that last lap will not count. The 91 gonna have to start at the tail end of the line, as none of his laps will be verified and counting.
That's just unfortunate there for the 91 machine, just trying to push as hard as he could, got into the outside wall. Something you typically don't see at ovals is laps being invalidated, but here at Bristol, with how snappy these next-gen cars can be, very easy to overstep the boundary and get into the wall and get an invalidated lap like we just saw there.
We got ourselves 45 seconds left here in qualifying. Gives us a moment to say thanks to some of the other sponsors here for the WSSR, that at the admin box, as well as ButtKicker. ButtKicker, one of the main sponsors for that of the Rookie of the Year award, and whoever is the Rookie of the Award winner will be getting themselves a Gamer 2 unit. And so, ButtKicker, thank you so much for helping us. As we get to take a look here at the practice times on how fast these drivers were looking, and I got to say here, Trevor, Jeremy Little, as well as Brandon Colley, top of the board. Vincent Sora, third fastest, but Rich Jamison, a driver that was sneaky quick, really didn't get that speed placed in qualifying.
Yeah, for Jamison, not the qualifying lap he probably wanted after being that quick in practice, all the way down to 14 on his qualifying lap. So we'll have to keep an eye on that 86 machine and see if he can, carry that pace from that he had in practice into the race.
Well, as drivers have now finished up qualifying, let's take a look at our official qualifying results. And qualifying results are brought to you by Colley's mom. Colley's mom hoping that her son will not disappoint her, but sadly, it happens for another week, as Vincent Sora takes the top of the board for the 15. Tom Sinjek going to be second for the 8th. That of Brian Johnson's going to be third. Brandon Colley able to crack the top 5, but not the top 3. So the 1 will be in 4th place, with Zach Hall in 5th. Justin Lewis in 6th position. Cedric Hunter in 7th. Kyle Rochelle 8th. And 9th goes to Jeremy Little. And Alexander Light qualifying in 10th place.
Rolling off 11th is going to be the 49, Ryan Bird. Christopher Norris to his outside, starting 12th. Carl Puller 13th. Rich Jamison in 14th. Ed Perry 15th. Christopher Howell 16th. John Peel 17th. Jamie Dunning 18th. And Jonathan Cogswell and Aaron Kralik round out your top 20.
Then the last 4 drivers going to be that of James Kaufman, Chuck Sweeting, as well as Dakota Moniz and Mark Morales, as those last 3 drivers will be placed on based off their iRating numbers. Chuck Sweeting has the highest of those 3, with Dakota Moniz and Mark Morales. Says qualifying is done. It's time for the drivers to get rolling here tonight. As Trevor, it's going to be 200 laps with no fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires, and our stage break at the end of lap 50 for our top 10 to get bonus points. Was talking to some of the drivers. A lot of what I was hearing was tire wear. That's the main focus that seems like the drivers are worried about the most.
Yeah, tire wear here at Bristol's always been a big thing, especially with these next-gen cars. Tire wear is important to pretty much every track we go to. So I think at any chance that these guys get, they're going to come down pit road, get 4 fresh tires, give up track position, just with how important those tires are going to be.
As drivers are getting ready to roll out, 15 machine events Sora comes in tonight as our points leader with 2 wins, trying to get that 3rd. And for Vincent Sora, he's really trying to hope to get some more consistency, as that's what he's been doing all season long. Like you said, the only race he did not finish inside of the top 3 was at Daytona. Everywhere else this season, he has been in the top 3 for 6 of the 7 races ran this season, as this is race number 8. Look at further back in the field, though. Who are some drivers in your mind, Trevor, that are drivers that need a fantastic run here tonight, as we've got 3 more races after this before the playoffs?
You got to look down. You got to look at, Chuck Sweeting down there in 14th, 7 points behind the cutoff line. Ryan Bird, 19th in points, 9 points behind the cutoff line. He's starting in 12th. And then, I don't think Hackworth Jr. is here with us tonight, but he was another driver on my list of drivers to watch out for. But I'm going to say, you look at Sweeting and Bird, they're going to need good runs here tonight, especially with another short track next week to, try to get into that top 16 in the points.
Top 16 drivers. If you're in the top 20 and you have a win, that automatically locks you in. And for that of Gabriel Ellison, he got his win at Daytona, but is not inside of the top 15, top 20 in points. That win is not eligible him into the playoffs, so he's going to need to get some more points and show up to races. As for the 24 that showed up here tonight, it's time to see how will these drivers clash at the last Great Coliseum. Well, here we go. Green flags in the air for that of Vincent Sora for the Heroes Pub 200.
A great jump by Vincent Sora. Sinchek a little slow in that second off the top lane, allows the 28 of Brian Johnson to get around him. Now he's going to have to battle for third there with Brandon Colley, but gets to the bottom line, cuts off the run from Colley as the 77 looks to the outside of the 42 of Zach Hall.
Lap one in, Vincent Sora is going to lead the way as we get to see from these stable shots. And you see the drivers battling side by side, and it's the 77 of Justin Lewis that's in the orange and blue. That's going to be on the high side, who's trying to make his way forward up to third place. That 77 looks good. As we look deeper in the field, Kyle Rochelle and Zach Hall looking between them, trying to figure out who's going to crack that top six.
And Rochelle running that outside line. That outside line is going to give you the speed, the momentum off the corner, but it's going to eat up those tires more quickly. With these drivers worrying about tire wear, you got to be careful about how long you run up in that top line. But this early on, everybody's putting it to good use.
Everyone's trying to keep their P's and Q's and recognizing this race can be a long one if we're being impatient. There's a lot of drivers trying to be careful, and talk about trying to be careful. That of Alexander Light in the 97 falls all the way back to last place. He qualified 10th, but one simple mistake has pushed him back to last place.
Yeah, a little bit of contact with Christopher Norris off the corner there, sent the 97 into the inside wall. Pretty heavy contact to the nose of that machine, and no quick repair here tonight. So the 97 is going to be in for a long night.
Looks like he might have broken a toe length with the contact as he is struggling to get moving. As you can see, that front left just absolutely kinked in. That is not the way the wheel's supposed to be looking as we look at Christopher Norris. Hey, if you were looking just that of 30-40 minutes ago, uploaded a video of our top 5 finishes of August. Christopher Norris was on that list as number 1. Check it out after this race is done, as Norris is going to be losing ground to that of Rich Jamison. Jamison, no surprise, was quick during practice, didn't get the qualifying time, but this 86 is already up 4 positions.
Yeah, Jamison doing a good job moving through the field this early on, using that high line when he can to get this run on these drivers, as everybody seems to be preferring that bottom line here early on.
As we are going to move up to the lead because there's a lot of action up there. Vincent Sora, Brian Johnson was trying to poke the nose to go to the lead position, lost momentum. Well, this 28 looks quick at the moment, but Trevor, talking about that outside line, how fast it can be, that defensive line is so powerful as Vincent Sora continues to try to hold off that 28.
Yeah, right now, Vincent just running the bottom, putting that car right in front of Brian Johnson, where Johnson just kind of has to figure out where he wants to go, but them battling like this is allowing the 77 machine of Justin Lewis to close in on as we get our first caution out.
First caution of the day, and trying to figure out where exactly it happened. These drivers getting sideways and out of control as drivers are woeing up. Trying to figure out where exactly this yellow is, as we have not been notified exactly where it happened. It looks like it was just an odd yellow being thrown. Trevor, have you seen anything on your end?
Looks like to me the 66 of Gregory Shaw came out on track and then had maybe some technical issues, stopped on the apron, and that might have been what triggered our first caution here tonight, but not 100% sure.
I believe that is actually what happened, as Gregory Shaw missed the starting grid. Started on pit road, was 11 laps down, gets out on track, and then wrecks, showing you need practice if you're going to show up for these races. And Gregory Shaw was only able to put 1 lap in, brought out a yellow, and it looks like it's going to be a start and park for himself. And as well. This is now going to reset everyone to stack them back up. We got to run 14 laps of green flag racing action before the yellow comes out. And now, Trevor, decision time. Do you come into pit road?
You know, with only having the 4 extra sets of tires, just being 200 laps, 14 laps into a run, might be a little too early, you know, in my opinion. But, you know, some of the guys further on back might decide to do that. Now, if we get another caution, say lap 25, lap 30, I think we'll see a lot of guys come in and take tires before the stage. But it doesn't look like we had, I think we had one driver come in, that was Chuck Sweeting, and the 75 was our lone car to come down pit road on this caution.
Looks like for Chuck Sweeting, he's just going to come in and top off on fuel for himself, as the rest of the drivers going to be roaring on and staying out on track. Well, before that yellow came out, I mean, I got to say, Trevor, it was awesome to see these drivers spaced out. They gave each other plenty of room, and no yellow was looking promising it was going to come out. Obviously, kind of shocked us to see the 66 get out there on track after missing practice qualifying and just sneaking his way in to get out there on track. But obviously, for these front runners, it gives, I would say, Justin Lewis and Tom Sinchek a great opportunity to try to fight for our front two, as Vincent Sora and Brian Johnson were really attacking those tires, trying to pull away.
Yeah, I think Tom might have been saving a little bit. You know, started second, really kind of fell back about a half a second behind the 77 of Justin Lewis, who was trying to catch up to our leaders. But right there before the caution, Brian Johnson putting the pressure on the 15 of Vincent Sora. Now he gets to start right beside him here on this restart. So it's going to be interesting to see if the 28 can get a good enough restart here and be side by side with Vincent Sora as they go into turn 1.
Who is going to move forward anymore? Again, talked about some of our other drivers further on back. Rich Jamison was the driver that's moved up 4 positions. That of John Peel up 5 positions back in 12th place. 2 drivers that didn't get the qualifying times they wanted, but now are on the move as we're stacked up and ready to get rolling again. Stage break at the end of lap 50. Top 10 drivers get those stage points, with the winner getting 10 points. Second gets 9th, and it continues to drop down until 10th place gets 1 bonus point, 1 measly point. But Trevor, that 1 point could be your make or break of getting into the playoffs.
It very well could, and I think, you know, especially going into this race and our next 3, as we get to the playoffs, we're going to see the aggression level ramp up for that, you know, that top 10 spots to get those stage points, especially for drivers around the cutoff line.
Well, here we go. Pace car is off into the restart zone, and we are green as Vincent Sora, Brian Johnson get clear, and it's side by side for that a third on back. Well, as we say that, though, Tom Sinchek, it's almost like he missed a gear or something. He is falling back quickly for the 8.
Yeah, again, just not a great restart for the 8 of Tom Sinchek. Kind of uncharacteristic for him as the 21 of Rochelle gets a little loose off corner exit. Something these drivers got to watch out for, as his cars can get a little snappy on you as that battle continues for 4th place.
4th place still side by side. Kyle Rochelle, Tom Sinchek trying to figure out where the best line's going to be as the 8 falls back to another position as Collie gets loose out of the corner, ducks it low, almost giving an opportunity for the 13 with Cedric Hunter. But here comes the drivers further on back. It's going to be that of Rich Jamison and John Peel, both on the move, trying to crack inside deeper into our top 10.
Peel using that middle groove, kind of outside lines. We got another caution out of the racetrack.
And it's going to be multiple drivers involved with this one, but it's Carl Pooler that finds himself being spun around and facing the wrong direction for himself.
Yeah, not the direction you really want to be facing there for Carl Pooler, as we take a look at the replay here to see what happened to the 71 machine.
Now watch out for the 54 and the 71. It's going to be coming out of the corner. I think for Carl Pooler, not the way he wanted to see spun around, but I think both drivers kind of looking for the same real estate, and usually that means that's not going to work out the best. But at the same time, short track racing, when one caution comes out, it's usually cautions breeding cautions, as our second one of the day comes out.
Yeah, I think the 71 Polar there got a little loose on the bottom of Dunning, and then as he tried to correct it, Dunning coming down just a little bit, the drivers just meet in the middle, and thankfully for the 71 machine, didn't break a toe link on that vehicle, so no required damage. A little bit of front end damage for him, but should be able to get that fixed and not go a lap down.
Well, you talked about with our last yellow, if another one came out, potentially think about coming into pit road if you're looking for stage points. Well, now's the question. Do you come in or do you stay out into pit road? Going to be the 88 of that of Christopher Howell, as well as the 75 of Chuck Sweeting. And for Chuck Sweden, I'm curious if he's trying to just save his tires and potentially at the stage break continuously fuel his car up so he doesn't have to worry about tires when he comes around that stage break time.
Interesting call from the 75 machine. I'm curious, like you said, if he's just taking fuel here and saving tires, or what the plan is for the 75. We have to wait and see here this he's on pit road if he decides to take tires, but it looks like just fuel only again for the 75 machine.
I mean, that was something I was kind of jokingly saying with some of the drivers during practice before our stream went up was, hey, would anyone really think about just, with the amount of cautions that are always potential here at Bristol, just to, come in, top off on fuel and just try to save that track position, recognizing that it could be a lot of yellows that bubble up and cause you not to get a long green flag run. And they all said, no, tires are going to be way too important for that type of strategy run. But Chuck Sweeting, once again, another caution, another just coming to pit road and topping off, as Christopher Howell, though, went with the complete opposite strategy. Taking tires is the 88.
And we're gonna have to wait and see how much those tires for the 88 machine of Howell are gonna pay off for him. Here's, we ran 14 laps under green, and then probably another 2 or 3 laps right there. So about 17 total laps under green flag conditions on these tires. So for Howell, we're gonna have to see how big of a payoff those new tires are gonna be for him compared to everybody else out in the field.
As we are now at the halfway marker of stage 1, that is going to be at the end of lap 50 again, is our stage break. That will be the only stage break of this whole entire race, and then we would be all focused on who's going to get to victory lane at the end of the day. As Vincent Sora, Brian Johnson, Justin Lewis, Kyle Rochelle, Tom Sinchek going to be your top 5, ready to get rolling here tonight. And Trevor, quick question. If you are one of these drivers up front, with it now only being less than 25 laps to go, how aggressive can you be at this push?
I think everybody's going to be fairly aggressive, but not overly aggressive. These top 5, top 6 drivers all race with each other. Multiple leagues have raced really clean around each other. So I think they're going to be aggressive, but also kind of smart about it here as we get ready for the restart.
Into the restart zone, and we are back to green flag racing, and Vincent Sora did not get the launch that he wanted, nor did Brian Johnson. Justin Lewis is there side by side for second, but the launch out of the corner now gives a little bit of spacing for a front 4.
Yeah, Lewis a little loose, Johnson with the better run off the top line, and now he sets his sights back on the 15 machine to see if he can get around Vincent Sora here before the stage.
As we drop back side by side as we are hopping on board the 07 and John Peel kind of in the head of a gaggle of cars, seeing that with the 86 on the outside. And as they're battling right here for these positions in the middle of the field, so important to watch out for. The 42 is Zach Hall on the outside trying to hold off Jeremy Little, as that is the battle for 10th place in those last little bonus points, as side by side, 3-4 rows deep, and Zach Hall making the outer run work.
Yeah, Zach Hall, last week's winner, with a great run off the corner, clears the 07, gets alongside the 86 there of Rich Jameson, able to clear him and set and sail on that outside line.
I feel like, we always talk about short tracks. It's a rhythm track. Always have to find that rhythm where you feel the most consistent. But at the same time, it can fall out of that rhythm so quickly. And at the moment, got to give updates to the drivers further on back. Christopher Howell took a set of tires, and he has been very patient, not trying to use them up. Kind of a shocking move by the 88 machine that's further on back.
Yeah, it took that set of tires. You'd think that he would be aggressive, try to get those stage points, but maybe just saving these tires. That way he doesn't have to pit at the stage break and get that track position.
Zach Hall going to be getting by that Tom Sinchek. Sinchek down 6 positions from where he started this race in second place. Continues to falter backwards. We first thought maybe he was saving his tires. Now it looks like there might be a bigger issue than what we thought for the 8.
You talk about this track being a rhythm track, and maybe for the 8 of Tom Sinchek just not quite in his rhythm yet, as he just looks uncomfortable, and that 8 machine continues to drop back, almost falling into the clutches now of the 86 of Rich Jameson, slowly working his way up through the field.
We drop further on back. This is the drivers at the tail end of trying to get to that top 10 position. This is 11th, all the way back to 19th place that we see on screen, as the 9 of that of Ed Perry going to be on screen. And a couple of drivers we haven't seen for a couple of weeks are back out on track in this 9, trying to get a little bit of help from other drivers. And honestly, it's more of a learning type of a race for Ed Perry than anything else.
Yeah, Ed, after missing a couple of weeks back, he's shown a bit of speed at the races he's been at. Still trying to improve in that 9 car and doing a fairly good job here running inside the top 20 here in 17th place. He's running the outside line trying to chase down the 27 machine of Jonathan Cogswell in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, for Perry, he's had 3 races this season. His best finish was that of 17th at Kansas. His other 2 races was at Coda and Daytona. And talked with him, talked about the fact that he felt a lot more confident at the super speedways and mile-and-a-half tracks. That's where he feels a lot more comfortable. I feel like that is kind of the most usual statements when you talk to drivers that are trying to get into racing at the ovals. Is those bigger tracks feel a lot more comfortable as the short tracks can feel very claustrophobic. And one little mistake, maybe you miss a braking point, or maybe you just don't let off the right timing, you can ruin your race and a lot of other drivers as well.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with road courses too. The mile-and-a-halfs, in the super speedway is a little bit more forgiving. You make a mistake, but short tracks, road courses, I mean, that one mistake can see you into the wall, into other drivers, and causing some incidents. But right now for Ed, doing a really good job, was able to clear the 27 there of Cogswell, doing a really good job keeping that momentum up in the high line, now setting sail and setting sights on the 38 of Christopher Norris right in front of him for 15th.
Christopher Norris has been a pinball machine for these last about 10 laps. He was up inside of our top 10 for a quick moment, but then fell back, got bumped around. He's struggling, and a driver that's dealing with a driver up front having issues. It's the 77 of Justin Lewis. He gets into the wall, and you see him slow on the outer lane as we were riding on board with that of Ryan Bird.
Yeah, the 77 of Justin Lewis into the outside wall, and I think, Sam, he might have broken a toe link in that 77 machine with how slow he's going here on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, and you can see it in the front right. It is broken, and he's struggling to turn down, but luckily will. And that came from an over-aggressive push coming out of turn 4 after being passed by Cedric Hunter, and slams the outside wall for turn 4. And now into pit road, another driver with broken toe link. Our other driver that broke a toe link, that was Alexander Light. He was in pit road for 14 minutes and just now is getting back out on track.
Yeah, for Light, back-to-back rough weeks for the 97 machine, was having a good run. Last week at Le Mans, got involved in an incident, and then early on in this race, a little bit of contact with Christopher Norris. Now multiple laps down for the 97 machine as Aaron Krolick does battle here on the track with the 20, I believe that's the 25 machine.
26 of Little. And Little's done a great job trying to just stay in his own bubble at this moment, as in front of these drivers, as they're side by side, they've got a cluster of 5 that are battling around one another, being led by that of the 21 of Kyle Rochelle, 4th back to that of the 8th place is this group that we see on screen.
Yeah, Rochelle falling back a little bit as this run's continued here, as we are actually closing in here to our stage break on lap 49 right now. So these guys battling for these stage points here and see what they can get.
Blink of an eye, and this stage is about to be done as Vincent Sora is now on the backstretch on this white flag of our stage break at it's lap 50. And here it is, coming across the line. It's going to be Vincent Sora getting the stage break win, but they wait until the top 10 have all crossed the line, and that is now, as we wait for the word, and there's the caution that brings out our stage break here tonight. And our stage break going to be sponsored by the Admin Box, as these drivers get to pace around for a little bit here, reset, get to go into pit road, tires, fuel, and regain. As got to see a little bit of numbers for the 88 of Christopher Hall. He moved up only that of 3 positions for himself. But the stage break sponsor being the Admin Box, a premium button box with a plug, set, and go on being the best admin and race control for leagues or hosted races. Go use the promo code FFB-BOXX. That's FFB-box with 2 X's for the Admin Box. Go get yours today. As the driver's about to head into pit road, we're going to step aside for a quick moment here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting as you are watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. It's race number 8 here at Bristol for the Heroes Pub 200 on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll see you in just a few, but you won't miss a thing as we go side by side for these commercials coming up. Well, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and it's for the big one as a lot of drivers just got put in the blender on the back half of the field as a caution comes out for these drivers. In the middle of the field, Tom Sinchek and a couple of others all piling in. As welcome back to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name's Sam Dyer, with me Trevor Earhart, as well as Robert Moyer Jr., giving you all the coverage as we take a look here with Tom Sinchek, Rich Jameson, as they're racing around the driver that decided to stay out on older tires of Christopher Howell. Actually, that's two different incidents, Trevor, that happened at the same time, and that's why it became gridlock for a hot second.
Yeah, it looks like Jameson got a little loose on the bottom, spins to the inside wall, and Tom Sinchek contact what the 26 machine puts them into the outside wall, collects the 07 of Peel and a couple other drivers as everybody tried to check up and slow down for that wreck.
Trying to slow down, trying to hope for the best. But Trevor, as we were under our commercial break, on that restart, some controversy popped up. And now admins are going to have a tough task to call, as one of the admins cleared their own black flag on that restart.
Yeah, the 15, our leader, Vincent Sora, looked like he jumped a little bit on that restart, then slowed down to allow the 88 of Howell to be the control car. But with that restart zone being so strict as it is, got a black flag for himself, but cleared it, and the admins are going to have to review that. And also, while we were, under commercial break and under pit road, Brian Johnson, the man who was running second, exiting pit road, puts the 28 all the way back in 13th position.
And he was very close to those wrecks that were going on. So the 28, he's now in the heart of things and hoping that the eye of the storm doesn't wipe him out, because when you go short track racing, track position so important. Seen so many races of drivers that were looking for an opportune chance for a win. They go back because of penalties or back because they want to take fresher tires, and they get caught up in some pretty massive wrecks that can ruin their day. But drivers that were caught up in that wreck and have to come to pit road, that of Jeremy Little, fastest during practice, didn't get the qualifying time that he wanted, and now with a required damage flag, forced to come into pit road. Justin Lewis, who broke his tire about that of 30 laps ago, still in pit road for himself. So now the question looms, how many other drivers are going to have to be forced to come into pit road?
Yeah, the tow links, and along with the new damage model, and they've updated it to now where I believe it's momentum based, so a little bit easier to break the tow links in these cars, especially here at Bristol with how fast you're going and how hard you tend to hit here. So we'll have to keep an eye out and see how many other tow links get broken here tonight with contact. But so far, Alexander Light, Justin Lewis, Jeremy Little, all with the broken tow link early on in this race.
As drivers have to pick and choose where they want to go, that of James Kaufman into pit road for the 28. Kaufman also looks to be having to force to go back at the end of the line. Some other drivers were also given EOL penalties on this restart. That of John Peel going to be given an EOL to start at the end of the line on this restart after deciding to do so, but is in pit road at the current moment trying to get repairs done. As the field stacks up, we started out with 24 drivers on the grid. It bumped up to 25 when Gregory Shaw showed up, then brought out our first yellow, and since then it has been chaos. We've had a couple of good green flag. We had a decent green flag run to finish out our stage break. But from here on out, we're hoping we can get some green flag racing in as we are green. It's going to be Vincent Sora taking us off out of turn number 2.
Yeah, again, a good jump there by the 15 of Vincent Sora. Cedric Hunter now falls into second. And Zach Hall battling Brandon Colley for third on the outside line there. The 42 and the 1 go to battle for third place.
Going to be Brandon Colley trying on the inside lane. Zach Hall on the outside. Cedric Hunter in that of second. Looking at the lap times, though, gotta say here, Trevor, with that of seeing Brian Johnson, still he's up to 9th place. He's doing a great job moving forward, but he's in the hornet's nest. It is a cluster from that of 5th all the way back to that of 15th on top of one another, and the 28 stuck in the middle of all this.
Stuck in the middle, and he's got to get around the 88 there of Christopher Howell on the older tires. Does that. Now he's going to the inside of the 9 of Ed Perry. Perry doing a good job here inside the top 10 so far. The 9 machine holding strong on that outside line, but right behind them, we got the 75 of Chuck Sweeting, who played an interesting strategy early on in that stage, but now inside our top 10, looking the inside of the 9 of Ed Perry.
He was about 7th or 8th fastest during practice, didn't put a time down for qualifying, so started all the way back in 22nd, and now Chuck Sweeting up to 8th, getting by this 9 machine. But Brian Johnson, back to the 28, he was looking like a massive threat, trying to battle and go after Vincent Sora. Now is chipping away and very aggressive on these tires, trying to close in and try to get back up to second place, as now he's on the tail bumper of Kyle Rochelle.
Yeah, Rochelle and Colley doing battle right now for third or fifth and sixth. And 28, Brian Johnson, so much speed, just nowhere to go. He's just blocked in behind those two drivers. Brian trying to make up for that lost time and the speeding penalty on pit road. But using, like you said, Sam, using up those tires this early in the run might be detrimental to the 28 machine.
Now going to be seeing stuck side by side, going to be battling for third and for that of fifth. As here we go, Brian Johnson to the outside. This 28 looks like he's driving a different car compared to everyone else. He should look so much faster, as Colley has to move down after almost squeezing the 28 into the outside wall. And disappointment for some of the drivers that were looking quick. That of Jeremy Little is done for the night.
Unfortunately for Jeremy Little there with the broken damage to the car, just decides to call it a night in the 26 machine. Had such a good run going for himself, then caught up in that incident, so he'll look to come back next week. But Sam, battle for the lead's heating up. Zach Hall is there, and the 28, Brian Johnson, is there as well as they head off into turn 3.
From 12th to 3rd, Brian Johnson is not giving up. But you got to think, for the long run pace, this 28 is using a lot of tires to get back to the tailpipes of our front two. With Zach Hall, he has been going with a slow, methodical push, getting forward now on the back bumper of the 15. Curious on how Zach wants to approach this. He's been seeing speed on the outside from Johnson. He's going to try to get a run down here on the front stretch, but the patience trying to find that speed as the 15 just looks calm, cool, and collective. Vincent Sora, yes, there's pressure behind him, but his driving style isn't showing that he feels pressure.
No, and then just does a good job, gets up to the outside, blocks the 42's line that he was taking there, forcing the 42 down low, and again, just taking away the line as caution's out.
Caution's out, and it's going to be on the front stretch. The 0-1 and the 86 going to be caught up in this one.
Oh, and Aaron Kralik and the 86 of Rich Jameson. Jameson having a good run as we take a look back and see what happened here to these two drivers.
And watch out for that of the 0-1 of Kralik. Again, he's running this middle lane. The middle lane is always kind of a questionable spot. He'll drop down right in front of Carl Pooler, and away he goes off the bumper of the 71.
Yeah, it looks like he dropped down in front of Pooler. Pooler not probably expecting him to come down low. And nowhere to go for the 86 there of Jameson as he hard contacted the inside wall for that machine. But for Aaron, looks like he gets away pretty unscathed in the 01 machine.
And more drivers have called it a day, as now John Peel is done from this race. 3 drivers have called it so far. As that incident, I mean, Trevor, that's one of those spots where, again, you're trying to go for a risky call, you're hoping you're clear, but short track racing, anything can change in an instant. And for Kralik, he got found himself being spun around. And once again, the 86 caught up in a wreck that really wasn't his fault. A couple of those other spins have been him trying to spin to avoid contact, and that time just innocent victim, nowhere to go.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Jameson, who, comes into tonight, was looking for a good run for himself, was quick in practice, and then, like you said, Sam, just kind of spun out of the way of the caution right after our stage break, and then this one just nowhere for him to go. So hopefully not a whole lot of damage to the front end of that 86 machine. Thankfully, here at Bristol, as long as you've got no engine damage, the aerodynamic damage isn't going to hurt too bad. So hopefully he can get that car fixed and get back out there.
Drivers getting a little bit of pit stops for themselves. It's going to be from 13th on back coming into pit road, being Christopher Norris, Christopher Howell, Jameson, Pooler, Cogswell, as well as Mark Morales, Kralik, and James Kaufman all decided to get some pit stops and repairs done. As Justin Lewis able to get back out on track, or at least that of 19 laps down. Alexander Light, 38 laps down. 2 drivers that I would imagine hope that tonight would have gone in a different direction. But happy to still at least be out on track running laps, and with other drivers quitting out of this race, gives them opportunities to gain some more positions, and what should have been a terrible day, try to minimize it to just a non-optimal day.
Right, and then anything can happen. I mean, we still have over 120 laps to go in this race. So for those two drivers, I mean, we could see more cars have issues and then get more positions just by being out there on the track. But for Justin Lewis, definitely not the day that the 77 was planning on having, as he showed great speed early on in this race before his incident. The same thing for the 97 of Alexander Light, was moving up through the field before his little bit of contact there that put him to the inside wall. So for those two drivers now, it's about, making as many laps as you can to see how many positions that you can gain.
As drivers are waiting to get the clear of the 1 to go marker, they finally get it, and they're about to stack up and get ready to go. So we're going to do a quick read here for iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag is the best iFlag virtual flag system around. And if you'd like to go get yourself some clear indication of what the flag state is on track, or give you basic visual spotter information, go to iRacingIFlag.com to go get yourself some great products today. Use our promo code FreakyFast2022 to get yourself your discount code at iRacingIFlag.com. Thank you so much to all of our amazing sponsors. It's time to get back to racing up front. It's Vincent Sora, Zach Hall, Brian Johnson, ready to attack again as we are green, with Vincent Sora taking us to that of turn number 1.
And again, Vincent Sora doing a great job in that restart zone. Getting a great restart as Johnson and Zach Hall battle it out for second. But, I think for Vincent now, it's just about running your line, being patient, being smart on those tires as those two behind him keep battling it out, maybe wearing their tires down.
I mean, if you're Zach Hall, you saw Brian Johnson make that massive surge cutting through the field. I mean, in my mind, I would think, hey, let the 28 go. If he's willing to use those tires up as much as he did, let him attack, and then maybe follow in the suits of the 28. See where he's running. Find that little bit of extra speed that you might be able to utilize, or kind of use the 28 as a pawn to try to go after the 15, which, for Brian Johnson, Vincent Sora, they are teammates, but obviously they're racing as hard as they can, almost like they aren't teammates, as Brandon Colley runs in fourth.
Yeah, Colley looked a little bit to the inside of the 28 of Brian Johnson. Johnson's running the middle line here. Getting a really good drive off the corner compared to the 42 around him. As I say that, Zach Hall now looking to the outside of Vincent Sora.
Over the wrecking behind. It's Christopher Howell, Martin Morales, and Christopher Norris all going to be caught up in this one.
And for Howell, just came in, took those fresh tires after staying out at our stage break. We'll have to go back and look and see what happened right here to the 88 machine.
As Christopher Howell going to be seeing the 71 running low. Gets into the throttle, and I think, if anything, Carl Pooler might have ran over Christopher Howell. Great save at that moment, but then overcorrects. Decides to just throw it in the outside wall. Christopher Norris tries to play a little bit of chicken, and against that 91's bumper, doesn't work out.
Yeah, it looks like, Puller maybe just got into the gas a little bit too soon, or didn't expect the 88 to drift down as much as he did in the corner. And then for Norris, trying to spot the gap between the 91 and the 88, gets clipped off the nose there of the 91 of Martin Morales and spins it to the inside wall. And now, Sam, looks like a little bit of pit strategy playing out here for our top 10.
Top 10 drivers now are thinking about coming into pit road. Brandon Colley is going to hit pit road. That of Jamie Dunning into pit road. Chuck Sweeney into pit road. And then a bunch of other drivers actually came in earlier. Going to be coming in as Ryan Bird, Tom Sinchek, Martin Morales, Christopher Norris, who was just involved with that last incident, into pit road. And James Kaufman, who's 10 laps down and back into pit road for himself. But
interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting call. I mean, especially from Brandon Colley. Goes from 5th now, is going to be all the way back, probably outside the top 10. And same with kind of how chaotic that back half of the field has been. I don't know if I'm all that comfortable if I'm the one machine.
And what makes it even worse is that you've had all the other drivers that came into pit road before. Looks like a good margin of them came into pit road again, so not losing as much ground as Colley could have lost coming into pit road. Looks like only down to that of 12th. And then he's going to have about that of, Chuck Sweeting's going to have just topping off on fuel. Rich Jameson, Carl Pooler, Cogswell, those drivers are going to be on 11-lap old tires compared to those that are on going to be around 40-lap old tires once we go green for our top 7. So the advantage does go to the 1, but how much of an advantage? Doesn't look like it's going to be that much.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out for Colley. I mean, at least looking like right now he'll get the restart on the outside line. I think that's going to be beneficial for him on this restart. He'll be able to put those fresh tires to use, provided he doesn't get stacked up behind anyone. But I'd be a little bit nervous if I was the one machine being that far back, kind of based off what we've seen so far in this race. But we'll have to check and see how that works out for him, and as well as for all the other guys who've come into pit road to see how quick they're going to be on these fresh tires compared to everybody who's decided to stay out here.
Who's going to be the quickest? Who's going to throw away this race potentially? Because we saw Vincent Sora, he lucked into clearing his own black flag after taking off too soon in the restart zone. Now that is still a thing that could happen with the amount of yellows that we're having. Jumping that start and getting a black flag on the restarts easily can be a penalty that can ruin the day for a lot of these front runners, and they might not be as gracefully given a black flag clear as Vincent Sora clearing himself.
Yeah, and I think for the 15 machine, looks like we've had the caution here extended as looks like the 88 machine they're trying to figure out where to place the 88 machine here, Christopher Howell. But back to Vincent Sora, I think maybe lucked out because the 88 might have spun his tires, and that caused the 15 to jump. But for these other guys on these restarts, something they're going to have to be cautious of, especially on the outside line. They're not jumping that restart because it could ruin your race.
As what they're going to do is allow the 88 to take the wave around. He'll go back to the lead lap, and then they're going to clear his black flag once they go green. So this should be fixing up this issue. There was a little bit of confusion on iRacing's side of things as drivers are ready to stack up, and a little bit of confusion. For some reason, the green flag, took off because Hal took off around, and drivers further on back just ran each other over. It's almost like no one was listening to the admins when they said, hey, we're going to try to hold on and wait for the black flag. And the green flag on the backstretch confused a bunch of drivers that decided to take off immediately.
We've seen this happen in Bristol before. Thinking back a couple weeks ago to Monday night, the Truck Series race, it happened there. So it's just something about Bristol and cars getting waved around the pace car, bringing out the green flag halfway down the back straightaway, but the admin's doing a good job keeping everybody mostly wood up, a little bit of contact further back in the field, but it looks like for the most part everybody lined up now getting ready to come to the actual green flag.
It looked like it was a couple of drivers that were middle of the field, obviously a little confused when the green flag was thrown. Admins throw the yellow quickly, but a couple of drivers do have some front end and rear end damage now after running into one another. It's the 9, the 21, 71, all running into one another. Chuck Sweeting duck it down low to try to avoid contact. So let's try it again, I guess. Right now, Trevor, is a very odd situation, but this is week 13 on iRacing. Anything that could happen probably will happen, usually on this week.
Yeah, it's the chaos of week 13. Looks like it's rolled over into league racing here at WSSR, but looks like everybody's got it mostly figured out here as we get ready to come to the actual green flag now. But Sam, looking back, our 6th and 7th place drivers, Dakota Moniz, Ed Perry. Dakota up 18 spots from where he started, restarting outside, restarting 6th, and Ed Perry again continuing that good run for himself in the 9 car. 2 drivers that I might have my eye on here in this race to see if they can get a good top 5 finish for themselves.
Yeah, the big thing that's going to help them out is the fact that they're on the same strategy of our front 7 in total. They're part of that group that all decided to stay out. They're on much older tires. They all came to pit road at our stage break, and they have not come to pit road since, while everyone else have come into pit road at some point. And with some drivers pitting at the stage break, some just pitted that of 5 to 6 laps ago. They've already used 2 sets of tires, and we're not even at halfway. We're about to cross over to the halfway marker, but tires could be the factor on why some drivers are not deciding to come into pit road more. As the pace car is off, now let's try this restart as we're back underway. Green flag racing, and Vincent Sora back to his comfortable spot, leading the way.
Yeah, Vincent Sora again, great jump there, but also a good jump from the 28. Brian Johnson gets around, clears the 42 of Zach Hall as he battles now with the 13 of Cedric Hunter. Was able to clear Cedric, but for the 28 machine, clearing the 42. Now it's all about the 15 car in front of him to see if he can run him down. His caution's back out on the racetrack.
And that's going to be another driver just getting into the throttle sooner than someone else as the 88 of Christopher Howell gets spun around. And There's only so much you can do to avoid carnage, but man, is it a lot of drivers just being very aggressive. I mean, we still got 100 laps to go at this point, and our 8th caution of the day comes out as Christopher Howell and Alexander Light make contact with one another.
Yeah, and for Howell, that's the second time now that he's been run over from behind here in the corner. So just not the night the 88 was hoping to have after, being on an alternate pit strategy compared to everybody else for the 88 machine, just not getting the luck that he wanted early on in this race.
As these drivers get to go into pacing, as we're past halfway, we're going to take a quick commercial break again. We'll be back here in just a few moments as more drivers bring out more yellows. We'll see how quick we can get back under green as you are watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You won't miss any action as we're going to go side by side for this commercial break. We'll be back in just a few to take you to the second half of the Heroes Pub 200 here at Bristol.
The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We come back from our commercial break. We almost had another yellow come out as Brandon Colley trying to hold on. Part of the drivers that just got fresh tires as we're almost going 3 wide. Thank you for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name's Sam Dyer. I've got Trevor Earhart with me. Rod Moyer giving all the camera and production in the background as you are watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series for that of the Heroes Pub 200 here at Bristol. Trevor, they're getting very frisky in the middle of this field, all trying to gain all the positions they can, with some with old tires, some with old.
Yeah, Colley, part of that group there that pitted on lap 91 on those fresher tires, getting around these guys that are on the 10-lap older tires and trying to run down our leaders who haven't pit since the stage, but almost a little bit of an issue there for the one machine as they were almost 3 wide a couple laps ago, but doing a good job now getting through this traffic, and right behind him, the 8 of Tom Sinchek, who's had a pretty eventful night for himself as a lap down, got the lucky dog, but also now following in the footsteps of that one machine.
Yeah, Tom Sinchek involved with the earlier wreck, and now going to be still trying to push forward inside of the top 10. Aaron Kralik trying to make the pass here. Fresh rubber is on that 0-1 as Cogswell and Ed Perry, who were up inside of our top 7 on that restart, they fall back on the older tires, and it's just a struggle bus at this moment because they're trying to stay out of everyone else's way. But we've seen deep in the field, drivers have not been patient and have been willing to run each other over. So that's got to be a scary moment for both of them further on back. But up front, drivers all in line for our top 5, top 6, really, all just deciding how do they want to attack that of Vincent Sora.
Yeah, for a second there, Rochelle was to the inside of Brian Johnson as Johnson's still trying to put that outside line to his advantage, get that run on the 15 machine. But Vincent Sora doing a great job, kind of like back at Kansas, just running that bottom line, running his own line, not worrying about the guys behind him, and continues to lead in that 15 machine.
That's the biggest thing for these drivers is stay patient, stay out of trouble. And Trevor, we were talking about it just for a brief moment under our commercial break, but this race, there are no more stage breaks that we're expecting to see. So fuel run options are now out there on track.
Yeah, and these guys can go about 125, 150 laps on fuel, so they can make it on fuel. But Sam, the question is, will the tires make it that far, as our leaders haven't been on pit road since lap 53? So that's asking a lot from one set of tires. But with the amount of cautions that we've seen, I don't think we're done seeing any more. So pit strategy might be important later on in this race.
And also drivers with fresher rubber. There's going to be the one of Brandon Colley decided to come into pit road that of 2 cautions ago, and it is now working wonders for the one who's going to be having over that of a 28 lap advantage on their tires compared to the rest of the field around them. This one is on the charge, while that of Jameson tries to hold on the outside. It's really not working. That outside wall hurts as the 86 bounces off the outside wall and luckily didn't break a toe length.
Yeah, luckily didn't break a toe link, didn't bounce down into the 8 of Thompson. Check there as he's still just stuck on the outside line. Now got the 0-1 of Aaron Kralik to his inside as those fresh tires now really starting to work through the field, work through these guys on those older tires.
And Kralik is on the freshest tires for the 0-1, so he is trying to make this surge forward as quickly as possible. Now, Rich Jameson, Jonathan Cogswell, both on similar areas for themselves, but they're going backwards on the older tires as Ryan Bird, the 49, caught up in an earlier accident. He's now starting to make the surge, cracking the top 10, or will he, as Jameson holds on.
And for Bird, needs to have a good run here tonight. 9 points outside of our cutoff line, who was the 71 of Carl Puller. And with Puller, not having the greatest of nights for himself, this is a big night for the 49, trying to gain those points on the 71 machine.
As these drivers continue to race on, we can give you an update on what the season's looking like for these drivers. Again, talking about tonight, 4 races were left in the regular season. After tonight, there will only be 3. Next week, these drivers will have off as NASCAR will be running on that of Saturday night. But when we're back in 2 weeks, Trevor, these drivers, they're attacking their short track racing at the fastest mile-and-a-half track, the last great Coliseum. But in 2 weeks, they go short track racing again at Southern National Motorsports Park. It's one of those things of if you're going to have issues here tonight, it might bubble up and become even a bigger issue in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we go from Bristol to an even smaller short track in Southern National. And if you have an issue with somebody here tonight, I expect to see it carry over next week to an even smaller short track. Tempers definitely will be flaring up there. But Sam, as we round down these next 3 races to the playoffs, I mean, this points battle is just going to heat up between the bubble drivers there, and we could see anything happen between those drivers.
We move up and take a look at third on back. They're starting to catch up to second place runner Brian Johnson. Again, Brian Johnson overused his tires a lot on those first 20 laps on this run. And for the past 50 laps, he has kind of been in cruise control. These yellow flags have been helping the 25, but I think the tire wear has now finally caught up to that of Brian Johnson. Johnson under fire of the fresh tires of the one.
Yeah, Brian drove all the way from 12th back up to 2nd. That previous run, in between all those cautions, used up those tires on the 28 machine, and you can really see it now starting to hurt him as Colley goes by him there on the fresh tires. But Cedric Hunter on the same tires as the 28, now applying the pressure. He's to the inside. Here's the battle for third.
Talked about trying to use someone else kind of as a pawn and get them to make the pass or shove someone out of the way. Well, that's exactly what the one did, allowing Cedric Hunter to make this pass for third. Here comes Tom Sinchek. Sinchek and Brandon Colley on the same length on their tires. 40 laps, coming to 41 on these tire set as Ed Perry comes into pit road for the 9.
Make his pit stop, but for the 8 of Tom Sinchek now battling here. The 13 closes right up on the back bumper of Cedric Hunter. There is Sinchek tries to just keep this recovery drive going for the 8 machine as he looks for third place. His colleague tries to close in on the 15 of Vincent Sora.
As Vincent Sora has got to figure out how to hold on for this lead as the 5 is practically just pushing and wooing the 13 along. And Trevor Bristol, I mean, how can you set up for these passes when you're that close like the 8 is to the 13?
I mean, you're going to have to go to a different line than what the 13 is running, and we see it right there. The 8, Tom Sinchek, just decides to go to the outside line, gets a good run off the corner. Not quite able to clear Cedric Hunter in the 13, but should be able to do it here off turn 3 and 4, and does. And that 8 machine now up to third place.
And now it's on. It's 2 against 1. Will Vincent Sora be able to hold off? And we talked about the mind games of, do these drivers have the fuel / the tires to make it? Brandon Colley for Tom Sinchek, doing the quick math, I think they're good on fuel to make it to the end. Tires will be the main question, but for Vincent Sora, for Cedric Hunter, Brian Johnson, Zach Hall, and a couple of other drivers that are on those older tires, I mean, they're losing ground, and at this point, they're banking on a yellow to come out if they want another chance to win this race.
Yeah, I think those guys really need another caution to come out so they can equalize with the guys on fresh tires and pretty much equalize the field as we're closing in on lap traffic here. And lap traffic in Bristol can throw a wrench into the plans of our leaders as Ollie was to the inside of the 15, but is backed off now. And Vincent Sora looks like they're going to go around the inside there of the 25 machine, but closing in on Christopher Norris here is another lap car.
That's going to be James Kaufman that stays high, gets out of the way, and just throws the vehicle up into the outside wall. Christopher Norris trying to see where he wants to place himself, and Brandon Colley, he'll send it 3 wide with lap traffic, but Vincent Sora holds on, has to really get on the brakes, was the 1. I don't think that was the optimal time he was thinking about, but for Colley, he needs to make this pass now with Tom Sinchek right there.
Yeah, Colley just trying to find any way around the 15, tried to make it 3 wide there, was trying to use Norris as a pick, wasn't quite able to do it. Now losing a little bit of time to Vincent Sora, who's doing a great job in that machine, holding off these 2 guys on fresh tires. Sinchek now makes a half-hearted attempt there at the 1 machine of Brandon Colley.
And the next cluster of lap cars aren't going to be for another about 10 to that of 20 laps. So for Brandon Colley, Tom Sinchek, this is your free game, free willingness to try to find how to get by this 15 machine as these laps continue to tick down. And when we stay green, these laps tick away very quickly. But if we're going to see a yellow, it's going to come from this group of drivers from 9th place all the way down to 14th is this cluster we see on screen.
Yeah, these guys battling hard. You've got the 9 there of Ed Perry, who's on fresh tires, as he just came off the pit road a couple laps ago, and you got lap traffic mixed in with this, and these drivers just all stacked up on top of one another, almost 3 wide there. As we're on board there with the 49 of Ryan Bird as they go around the 25 machine again of James Kaufman there. But Dunning battling here with the 27. You've got Ryan Bird, 21 of Kyle Rochelle, all here stacked up on top of one another.
All stacked up, all being aggressive, and at this moment, continuing to be very aggressive with one another. Rochelle bumps up just slightly, and that 21's on older tires. He's trying his best just to survive at this point with this group. And as they continue to race on, our leaders continue to get aggressive as well. But there's soon to be a new contender to try to battle it out with our top 3. Chuck Sweeting who has 10 lap fresher tires than the one in the 8, has now just cracked into the fourth place and is on the charge to catch up to our front 3.
That's Sweeting a little bit slower getting through traffic than Brandon Colley and Tom Sinchek, so maybe saving a little bit of tire compared to those two. Is Colley again looking to the inside of Vincent Sora, but Sora just showing how hard he is to pass here as they close in on the 5 car of Dakota Moniz to be the next lap car that our leaders have to deal with. But again, Sam, just very impressed with the 15 machine and how he's been able to hold off these 2 drivers on pressure tires.
Yeah, and also for our front, they've got to be careful because if they don't make this pass immediately on this lap traffic, I mean, even if they do make this pass and we continue to stay green, in the next 50 laps when this race is over, they are going to catch up to that cluster we were talking about of 9th place back to 14th. That group continue to race on and only about 4 seconds off to where our leaders are at as, oh boy, are they getting aggressive.
Yeah, Colley got a huge run off of turn 4. Dakota Moniz kind of caused the 15 of Sora to check up. But Colley gave a big shot to the back of the 15 machine there. But able to keep it straight with just the aggression level kicking up now for the 1, as I think he's a little frustrated being stuck behind the 1 machine, or the 15 machine.
And here we go. It's going to be Carl Pooler stays high, and that is the worst spot for Vincent Sora on the exit of the corner, having a lap car there. And that's going to give a prime opportunity for Colley or Willie, as Sora kind of just parks it on the exit, causing Colley not to be able to drift up to the outside wall.
Yeah, Sora, again, just keep saying it, putting that car in the most difficult spots for Brandon Colley to make a move on him, and just defending cleanly the 15 machine is. And for Colley, the frustration continues to build. But for Tom Sinchek, falling back here a little bit in the 8 machine, maybe trying to save a little bit of tire, but losing some ground to our top 2.
Well, now things are going to get even more complicated for our leaders because they're going to be having lap traffic of Kaufman hugging that inside lane, not getting out of the way. But then also behind them, Ed Perry's on fresh tires. He's about to catch up to our front 2 and try to pass them. So you're going to be having now cars on both in front and behind, about to be swapping back and forth all around. Welcome to the Glass-Gray Coliseum of Bristol. It's time for the chaos meter to ramp right back up because the next group of drivers our leaders are catching up to is the big one. It's the eye of the storm of 6 drivers all clustered up with one another.
Yeah, now you got the 9 car of Ed Perry that's caught our top 2. So, I mean, what's going to happen here with Perry trying to unlap himself on these fresh tires? Is he going to be able to make a move and get around Colley? And will Colley use that to his advantage to get around the 15 of Vincent Sora? But no, it looks like Perry's just going to drive right around the outside of both of them.
Oh, just almost collects that of the 1 on entry and almost gets into the outside wall on the exit. But luckily for Ed Perry, I love the fact as a lap car with fresh tires, he was aggressive, assertive, and got out of the way immediately and didn't have to have our leaders worry about in their mirrors of where's the lap car and are they going to hit us?
Yeah, it's great driving there by Perry. Was predictable with his moves, went around the outside of both of them, was able to clear them both, set sail, and the battle continues for the lead. And now the 8 of Tom Sinchek all the way to the top in that 8 machine trying to close the gap. But right behind him, the 01 of Aaron Kralik has been able to get around Chuck Sweeting, who's lost a couple spots, and now he's closing in on our 3rd place runner of Tom Sinchek.
And Aaron Kralik, I mean, he's one of the drivers that was caught up in earlier wrecks. 40 laps to go when they come across the line. That 0-1 was on the similar time of coming into pit road as Chuck Sweeting. Sweeting was only able to get up to 4th and then fell off. Now the question is for the 0-1, can he do anything with the slightly fresher tires of our front 3?
Yeah, Kralik just ever so patient, really good at saving his tires, and doing a good job here tonight, closing in on the 8 of Tom Sinchek, hoping to clear him pretty quickly so he can try to run down the 1 and the 15. But Sam, you were talking about it, the eye of the storm, these guys closing in on that group of cars and should be at the back of that pack here in the next couple laps or so.
And in the next about 3 laps, our leaders that are side by side are right there. It's actually going to be less than 3 laps as you see Christopher Norris stay high. It's going to be Ryan Board-Rich as well as Ed Perry. But there is our leaders, just that of a corner back. And it was right along with our leader of Vincent Sora. I mean, Sora's now in a spot as they got to squeeze up trying to get around that of the 21 who was trying to get out of the way. I mean, now the question is, how is lap traffic going to be predictable, or can it be dangerous as we got to go from an outer view because right now the 1 of Brandon Colley almost wiped out the 15.
Yeah, he was to his inside, got a little tight on corner exit. They almost made contact, but now you get the 54 of Dunning who's been running that top line where Vincent Sora was, and Vincent's going to go to the bottom now. They got the 91 of Martin Morales, who's on fresh tires in front of them, along with the 38 of Norris, the 77 of Lewis, and Alexander Light, all right here as the leaders stacked up and almost more contact between the 15 and the 1.
This is the winning moment of the race. Who gets through lap traffic the smoothest, the cleanest, and without as much damage as Christopher Norris and the Vincent Sora are going to be side by side. Colley's going to duck it down low. Will there be any contact that could change up these drivers' positioning? As behind them, Eric Rawlick has moved up to that a third for a hot second, but now they're closing in on this madness that our leaders are trying to get by. And luckily, they survived the first wave, but there's still 3 more waves to go for our leaders.
Yeah, now in front of our leader, Vincent Sora, you got the 97 of Alexander Light, the 77 of Justin Lewis, 2 cars that have been in previous incidents. So they've got to navigate around that. And while they get through this traffic, the 01 of Aaron Kralik, Tom Sinchek, Cedric Hunter trying to do the same thing and close in on our leaders as they continue to battle and deal with this lap traffic. It's now Colley to the inside of the 15 of Sora, almost 3 wide, but looks like he's going to try to use the 77 of Justin Lewis as a pick.
Oh, a little bit of contact. Robbins racing as they come across the line into turn number 1. Colley's still going to be low, still trying to use the 77 as a pick, but they haven't caught up to the back bumper of him to truly utilize this. But Alexander Light's going to hold off the 77. And as they continue to squeeze, they continue to lose time as the 01 of Kralik continues to close in as our leaders still are bickering back and forth.
Yeah, Colley, a little bit of contact there, gets a little loose. Trying to force the 15 up the track behind the 77, not quite able to do it, but while they're battling like this allows the 01, while he's got clean air, to run these guys down, and he's on the fresher tires. But as I say that, here comes the 21 of Kyle Rochelle, who's just came off the pit road on fresh tires, and he's going to go to battle here.
Watch out. Here comes the 21. He thought about the middle. I thought for sure he was going to send it and try to go 3 wide. Instead, he'll stay high, almost getting contact to the 1. That rear right bumper has been very close being tacked by Colley. They squeeze, they hold on, and Vincent Sora still somehow leading this race.
Yeah, Sora, as much as Colley tried to force him up, use the 77 as a pick, use that lap traffic as a pick, was able to fend him off, but now they close up on the back bumper of the 49 of Ryan Bird. It looks like he's going to stay to the bottom side, so this might be a detriment to the 1 of Brandon Colley, but in all that time, it's allowed the 01 of Aaron Kralik and the 13 of Cedric Hunter to close in on this group as they're about, half a second back behind our leaders.
But it's been when there's no lap traffic, Vincent Sora and Brandon Colley pull away. Aaron Kralik, yes, he chips away each and every lap, but is it enough? 25 laps to go here at Bristol. Vincent Sora, Brandon Colley lead the way as they're closing in on the next wave of lap traffic that they need to find themselves passing.
Yeah, to the inside, Ryan Bird looks like he's going to stay high in the 49 machine. Vincent Sora to the bottom, and Colley able to get a good run off the corner. Almost went to the middle of the racetrack there, almost made it 3 wide with the 49 and the 15, but now gonna see if he can set up a move, get the run off the corner, gets to the inside there of the 15, almost contact made. Now forces him up the track, and this is now Aaron Kralik's there in the 01 machine. As these leaders continue to battle, Aaron's there, and now Colley's got to worry about the 01 and the 15.
But as they're trying to get by Ryan Bird, who's fighting to stay on the lead lap, they're going to have that of Joshua Cogswell, Brian Johnson, and Rich Jamison going to be the next 3 drivers after this 49 gets passed. But at the same time, can they get past Ryan Bird is going to be the next question before Kralik tries to make the moves, because that's 01. He's now, yes, he's caught up to the group, but now is the difficult part. How do you pass these leaders?
Yeah, and that's been the key question here, is we've seen Colley run down Vincent Sora, not been able to pass him. Now Kralik's run down both of them, hasn't been able to pass. Will he be able to pass it? Now they've got the lap cars on fresher tires who have made pit stops. They're getting involved in this. As now Vincent Sora goes to the outside of Ryan Bird, but Sam, they've caught the 28 of Brian Johnson and the 27 of Cogswell. Now they got to deal with those 2 drivers as well.
And Mar Morales is not being patient. The 91 is already moved and bumped. Done a couple of bump and runs on lead lap drivers. He's going to be willing to do it here, trying to get by Ryan Bird and Kralik. Kralik into the outside wall for a hot second. He's going to continue to race on, side by side for the lead. A little bit of contact is going to be given to the 15, but the 1 of Colley still can't make the pass. He'll stay behind the 15, and it just looks like an ultimate losing battle that no one could get by Vincent Sora. He was the favorite coming into tonight. As we're coming down these final couple of laps, Colley's chances of going for the lead are diminishing each and every moment.
They are. And that you got to wonder about those tires if they've equaled out. I mean, you think about it, Vincent Sora pit at our stage break, lap 53 was the last time that 15 car's been on pit road. For Brandon Cawley, pitted on lap 91, almost a 40-lap difference in tires, and still not able to make a move on the 15 machine. But then we saw contact made at Vegas, our first race of the season, between these two drivers. So it makes you wonder, will that contact happen here again tonight if the one closes back in on the 15?
The first contact was Brandon Cawley getting into the 15 on coming with just that of 3 laps to go at Las Vegas, getting Vincent Sora out of shape and costing Sora a chance to win the first race of the season. But if we're going to see a wreck, it's going to be from this pack. And this is all the drivers from 4th on back with lap traffic, all mixed and mingled, as we are now 15 laps to go, coming to 14. Oh no, there they go.
Rochelle gets into the 25, everybody able to keep it straight, no caution. Comes out on the track for that. But Sam, we almost had it. Almost had a caution there that would have changed up the whole complexion of this race.
They might have been 40 degrees sideways in front of a group, but you need to be 45 or more, and they hold it straight. They stay on the apron, and we stay green as that group now disappears from our leader's point of view. Zach Hall now going to be back here for 7th place. He's going to be the second to last driver to go a lap down. Rich Jameson's going to be next on the list for Vincent Sora and Brian Johnson, as we are now 12 laps to go. More drivers continue to trickle into pit road, and now the question continues to loom for Vincent Sora, who's been aggressive pushing. Does he have enough fuel to make it to the end with all these other drivers that have had to come to pit road?
It makes you wonder. I mean, they said fuel run was about 150 laps, so pitting at lap 50, could technically get you there. We've had a couple cautions since then, but for how hard the one's been pushing the 15, it makes you wonder, has he been able to save enough fuel to get to the end of this race? We're going to have to wait and see as our laps wind down. 9 laps to go now as the 38 of Christopher Norris on the fresh tires goes ducking and weaving between our two leaders.
That's going to be giving that of Johnson and Kralik another opportunity to try to close in on our leaders, as 38 does a little bit of a brake check on the entry of the corner, trying to make sure he stays low, which slows down Vincent Sora for a quick moment. Now Jamie Dunning's going to be the next driver to try to pass our leaders. Less than 10 laps to go. We have that of 8 drivers on the lead lap. We might be down to 7 when this race is done, as Rich Jameson's about to be caught up by Vincent Sora, and Sora cannot let off and just ride behind lap traffic. He has to be assertive, aggressive, and if he wants win number 3 this season, he's got to make these passes quickly.
Yeah, he's got to get around the 54 of Dunning, who I think actually just got by both of them. But Rich Jameson in front of him, and now Kyle Rochelle on fresh tires again, coming back around our two leaders here. So not only does he have to worry about the cars in front of him, but also the ones behind him, as Rochelle now goes to the outside of the 15.
Gets by, and luckily it was on the straightaway, so not affecting too much for our leader, but the entry of the corner just a little bit off for himself. 6 laps to go, and Vincent Sora once again has pressure behind, but at the same moment, his same fell swoop, I mean, he just looks so dominant that the one has been there for what, 50 laps, and there still has been no sign that of Cawley is going to be able to make this pass.
Yeah, Cawley's thrown everything at Vincent Sora that he could think of, but Sora just doing a great job taking all those blows and not giving up. But Sam, I'm starting to wonder, we've seen the 28 of Brian Johnson come down pit road. He was on the same strategy as the 15 of Vincent Sora, and he had to come down pit road. So will Sora make it with 2 laps to go?
But Brian Johnson was the 4th lowest of all the drivers that have been out there on track since pitting at our stage break. Still have that of Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, they're still out there on track, with Zach Hall in 8th place, and then that of seeing Cedric Hunter in 4th, as they're battling along. Going to be seen the battle for 8th. The 42's trying his best as they continue to bicker back and forth. Now it lies in the hands of Vincent Sora, coming to that of our white flag for these drivers. It has been a wild time for themselves as the freaky fast white flag comes out. 200 laps. We had a lot of wrecks in the first half of this race. They cleaned it up, and now heading into turn number 3 for race number 3 being won for the 15. Winner once again for the Heroes Pub 200 is going to be heading to the hands of Vincent Sora.
Great drive by Vincent Sora there. I mean, the field threw everything they could at him. He never cracked. That 15 machine dominated this race tonight. Good win from Vince Sora. Great battle from Brandon Colley and good run there from the 01 of Aaron Kralik, up 17 spots from where he started. It's a great run for Kralik himself.
And for Brandon Colley, absolutely incredible. Kralik had the fresher tires that made him be able to stay out there on track. And we'll talk to our top three as the 15 gets to burn it down. We're going to step aside when we come back. It's the post-race show here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for that of the Hero Pubs 200 here tonight. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Freaky Fast Post Race Show here for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series as Bristol 200 laps down. And we have our top three to see their thoughts on how tonight went. We've got third place finisher Aaron Kralik to get his point of view on how tonight went. Aaron, it's Sam and Trevor up in the booth. What a run for yourself here tonight. Third place. Did you imagine that this is where you're going to finish at the start of the night?
No, sir. I was going to be happy and welcoming a top 10, but a top 5, top 3 podium. No, I'll take that any day of the week, man.
Aaron, you were on got caught up in a wreck a little earlier on, was on a different kind of pit strategy than everybody else, did a really good job on those fresh tires getting up through the field. But man, how hard was it to pass here tonight? As we saw, once you kind of got up to the front, it was difficult to get around those guys.
Oh yeah, no, it's Brandon just said this before, but when you're in front, you have such an advantage. You have you have like two options: get a run down the straightaway and dive it into the corner, or risk burning your stuff up even faster going around the outside. And just going through the field before the start of that long run, I done a little bit of both. I was on the outside, inside, but I just had that little birdie in my mind telling me, save that right front. You will need it. That is a key factor in this thing.
Well, Aaron, I mean, certainly you made it work here tonight. We still got 3 more races before playoff action. How are you feeling for these next 3 races? I know they're all tough, of going to that Southern National, Michigan, and then Phoenix to finish out the regular season, but how are you feeling for the rest of this run?
Oh boy. Southern National, that's going to be very interesting. Um we have it's going to be a few times to get a setup made, and I feel like Southern National is more like a Bristol, so we can have the same outcome. That would be fantastic. Michigan, I personally love that track, one of my favorites, so hopefully I can do pretty good there. uh Hopefully I'm in the playoffs by the time Phoenix rolls around, because myself personally, I never do good there, and it is not one of my favorite tracks in the on the schedule. So Michigan, I got circled. The other two gonna be toss ups, toss ups for sure.
Well, we never know what's going to happen, and congratulations on a top 3 finish here tonight. Before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Oh yeah, no, I'd like to thank the admins of the league for throwing this together and keeping it afloat. Thank you guys for broadcasting, Sam, Robert, Trevor. I'd like to thank Thomas Walter for this beautiful scheme, beautiful tide ride. And I'd like to thank all the viewers watching. Much love.
That is going to be the 0-1 of Aaron Crawley coming away with a 3rd place finish here tonight. Congratulations on that, and good luck in 2 weeks when we head to Southern National.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
As we go from 3rd place, we go to 2nd place, where we bring in the one machine of Brandon Colley. Brandon, almost so many times able to get by that of the 15 of Vincent Sora. Man, was there any thought in your mind of, I'm just going to send it this go around and maybe spin him out?
A couple times. I mean, I tried to put him in as many bad positions as I could with the lappers. You know, it was obvious that he had such an advantage just being the leader, and defending on the outside. He could carry so much of a run off the corner that, you know, I had to put him in those positions and hope for somebody to check up and force him to have to lift, and almost got there a couple times, but short of wrecking him, there wasn't much I could do.
At Colley, I mean, you gave it everything you had to the 15 machine there, Vincent Sorg. Come home second, but next week another short track in Southern National. I mean, kind of, what are your thoughts going into that after having and showing speed here tonight?
I mean, if it races anything like Bristol, I feel pretty good going into it. I haven't turned any laps there in any car ever. I've seen a handful of laps turned to know kind of what to expect, but it's shaped about the same in terms of banking and such in the corners. A little bit tighter corners, but I think it should be pretty good. I've kind of turned it up a notch on the short tracks, so feel like I got speed every time we come to one.
And you certainly looked promising here tonight, but still a solid finish for yourself with 2nd. Brandon, before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
First of all, you guys are freaky fast. Sam, Trevor, Robert. Can't wait to go back and watch, especially after this one, seeing exactly how close of a battle we had at some points, Vinny and I. Everybody, make sure to like and share the video each and every broadcast throughout the week. These guys, best in the business, and happy to have them aboard here at WSSR. Got to thank our league sponsors. I mean, Roasted Gems coming on this season, and they've been a fantastic title sponsor for us here. Also got to thank Heroes Pub for sponsoring this race. Happy to have those guys on board as well. Got to thank my teammates talking me through the race, just about who was coming and going, what to expect with some of the lappers and stuff like that. Helped tremendously. Got to give a shout out to Vincent. I mean, I had to keep him honest there, and he didn't make any mistakes, and he was perfect, and he needed to be. So congrats on the win for him. As much as I hate to see him win yet another one, he deserved that one. So congrats to Vinny. Got to thank my mom and stepdad watching every week, and I also got to thank my 2 biggest fans that have been tuning in here lately, my nieces Elise and Willow. Thank you guys for watching. I hear about the cheers every week.
Well, that is going to be the one machine of Brandon Colley coming away with a 2nd place finish here tonight. Congratulations on that, and good luck in 2 weeks when we go to Southern National.
All right, thank you guys. Hopefully I'm here again.
Hopefully so. As we go from 2nd place, we go to Victory Lane, where we find that of Vincent Sora. winner now 3 times this season, and it just felt right. It seemed right. We heard it through the whole entire week that Vincent Sora was the driver to watch out for. And Vinny, you got it done. How does it feel to get your 3rd win of the season?
It feels really good, especially after working as hard as I did for that one, because that was probably the at least top 3 for best battles I've ever had on iRacing. You know, Kali was on the pressure tires by a good bit. I think somewhere around like 20 laps, maybe even more. But I was just babying mine. I had the clean air. I had the lead. We got a couple of yellows there, and I debated on pitting. And I actually joked that I figured if I didn't pit, we'd go green to the end, and that's exactly what happened. But it worked out. I was able to hold him off. You know, the top was really strong whenever I was trying to defend, and then I just tried to take his line away and do everything I could to keep my tires under me when I was not side by side with him. But yeah, it was a really fun battle, and I'm glad that I got the better end of it.
Vinny, I mean, how nervous were you when you guys started getting into the lap traffic? You know, we saw Kali try to force you up into some bad situations. So how nervous were you around those lap cars?
I was a little bit nerve-wracking. They were pretty good for the most part. He really none of them did anything wrong. You know, they're all fighting for a spot too, and he just kind of put me in some really smart positions. He used a lot of racing IQ there a couple of times to box me in, and I thought he was going to have me. There were 2 times when I felt like there was just nothing I could do and nowhere to go, but I took one of the guys 3 wide middle one time, and then the other time I just moved lanes and was able to get around the other one and stay in front of him. But yeah, lappers are usually really fun to race against here at Bristol, and it keeps the race really tight and interesting, and they certainly did it tonight. So yeah, it was a great race.
That they did. Well, congratulations again, Vinny, on the win. But before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, for sure. First off, Kali, for the really fun, clean battle. You know, it's rare that you get those sometimes, so really appreciative of him racing me clean and hard there. A lot of fun. Thank everybody in the league for showing up tonight. Great race. Thank my personal sponsor, McConey Setup Shop, my painter, Tom Sinchek, Category 5 Esports, and you guys for broadcasting.
That is going to be your winner here tonight. The 15 of Vincent Sora gets his 3rd one at that of Bristol. Congratulations and good luck in 2 weeks when we go to Southern National Motorsports Park.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good one.
As from Victory Lane, let's take a look here at the unofficial results of tonight's race. A wild one. A lot of drivers having to come to the pit road in those final 20 to 30 laps that shook up on where they were going to finish, but our top 3 pretty stout drivers to look at on the consistency. Main consistent driver was Vincent Sora, getting himself into victory lane with Brandon Colley. Eric Carl going to be your top 3. 4th is going to be that of Cedric Hunter, with Chuck Sweeting getting 5th, Tom Sinchek 6th, Rich Jamison gets 7th, Zach Hall falls back to 8th with Ryan Burden 9th. Jonathan Cogswell will finish out our top 10, but when we look at the rest of the field here, Trevor, there's quite a few drivers that I would imagine are pretty disappointed with their finish.
Yeah, Brian Johnson all the way down in 15th position after having to make a late pit stop. Showed great speed early on, was battling there with Vincent Sora. Kind of got off sequence there in the 28 machine. The 77 Justin Lewis had speed early on, broke a toe link, caught up in an incident for himself, and Jamie Little had great speed in practice. Unfortunately, got caught up in a wreck in the 26 machine and didn't get the finish that he wanted either.
And a lot of drivers hoping for better finishes. Some surprising. I mean, you got to give credit to that of Carl Pooler. 11th place finish for himself, even with a lot of the disappointments that was happening around him. As that was your unofficial results. But we get next week off, and then we'll be back in 2 weeks. And Trevor, 2 weeks, the drivers, we heard it, the unknown. We are going to a shorter track that is going to be tougher than what they just dealt with here tonight. We might see some bigger flare-ups in the temper side of things heading to that of Southern National Motorsports Park.
Yeah, after tonight, I think we're going to need that week off, Sam, to get prepared for Southern National. I think it's going to be equally as exciting, if not more exciting, than what we just saw here tonight at Bristol. That being a tighter racetrack, but racing similar. So definitely looking forward to seeing what these guys are going to put on for us in 2 weeks. And I expect to see some tempers flare up from tonight and carry over to Southern National, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
How will the drivers react, as we've got ourselves quite a bit of great races coming up for this week? For us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, this is the start of some great coverage that we're going to be having throughout the week. Tomorrow, the season finale of the 802 Next Gen Cup Series. Monday, it's the ISRC Truck Series, with Tuesday being the Full Send Racing Series. Wednesday's Wicked Racing League. Then Thursday, we have ourselves going to be at the Stars and Stripes before we have Friday off and then Saturday off next week. We'll miss you. We'll hope for the best, but man, it has been a blast giving the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for this Bristol race. The Heroes Pub 200 goes to Vincent Sora. Trevor, excited to continue seeing some of this great racing action that we have here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But I know what I'm going to do after this broadcast is done. A new video is up here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's the August 2022 top 5 finishes of the month. Certainly a lot of great races and great finishes that we've had here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting last month that just popped up right before this stream happened.
Yeah, definitely tune in and watch that. I have yet to watch it. Sam, I'm with you. As soon as we're done here tonight, I'm going to go tune into that and get caught up on some of the finishes that I didn't quite get to see or were racing in. So looking forward to seeing that video.
And who knows, some of the races that we stream here, those are the races that we count as in our top 5 list. So if you see any great finishes throughout the month, this is September. September's list is already about to be built up. If you think that tonight's race is willing to make it in the top 5, we'll put it in the comments. Tell us this race is willing to be in the top 5 finishes of the month. And again, thank you so much to all the viewers being here, for the drivers, giving us a great show for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Race number 8 is in the books. It's Vincent Sora getting his 3rd win of the season. Well, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we hope to see you then. More short track racing action with the next gen cars. Who is going to win at Southern National? We'll find out. But for tonight, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Trevor Earhart, for Robert Moyer, and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we'll see you on the next one. And hopefully you enjoy watching August's top 5 finishes of the month.